Throughout history, Batman has clearly become the poster boy for DC Comics, despite the fact that Superman was a lot more popular at one time and a lot more prominent. Well, now we know exactly why, at least according to one producer at DC, why Batman gets all the love, especially on film, and not so much Superman. I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty sure for like every 3 Batman films, there's 1 Superman film. So that's pretty impressive. Again, I haven't done the math, but in my head it checks out that way, although I probably forgot something. Either way, though, let's be real about it. Batman is the golden boy for DC when it comes to comics and movies. So recently, the producer of My Adventures with Superman talked a little bit about this, specifically the approach to their Superman story, and then looking back at Batman and what they're trying to do there. So the producer Josie Campbell addressed this by saying that she believes it's all in regards to culture. You look at Superman, people love Superman because he's funny, he's optimistic, he's completely different than Batman, and the way that the world has shaped us and what's going on, we're looking at darker stories, and we're looking at more, well, darker tones and a darker, gringier, less optimistic, more deconstruct this superhero type of story, which, again, I think there is something to that. And she says that she believes that people are naturally gravitating towards different things at different times, and that there's movements and periods of movements and times where specific characters will overtake the other. And I certainly think that this is true. And if we go back to the mid-2000s, right? Superman was more popular in the 2000s, especially when it came to film. It wasn't up until the decade was wrapping up with The Dark Knight that Batman took over, because Superman Returns was more profitable and it sold more merchandise. So I do think I understand what she's saying, and certainly I think there is something to it. But at the same time, you got to admit that WB has fumbled Superman for the better part of like 30 years now, constantly relegating him to TV and or trying to do something radically different that's not what the fans want, or when they listen to the fans, they have to deliver. I think they just got to realize that Superman should be more or less like majority of the fans are asking, which is a more classic approach, which is what I think, honestly, James Gunn is doing, and why Superman, for example, has succeeded on TV largely, because you got more time, more personal stories, and you can be a lot lighter instead of having to be dark and brooding, because he shouldn't be Batman, he should be Superman, a polar opposite of who he is. So I think they kind of get it, but we'll see if it actually pays off.